Welcome to welcome to Northern Rankings Batman Edition here at Northern Entertainment Group, the show where we ask the audience to fill out a survey giving us their feedback on how they feel about a certain franchise. Today we're talking Batman, and I could think of no one better to join me than my good friend, the Riddler, Ryan Payne.
Riddle me this and riddle me that. I don't got one right now, but it is good to be with you, Dave. I almost like to think of a riddle, or I'll just Google a riddle and think of a good one to come up with. But right now, I'm looking forward to talking about Batman because, be honest, this is one character who honestly took pop culture by storm. He's constantly dominating pop culture, no matter how many times he's rebooted or put on a different medium. Like, there's always intellectual property issues with this guy. Not for bad reasons, just more if you can't use certain characters. But yeah, he's always fun to talk about. I can't.
Batman's one of those characters that everyone has. It's great. Everyone has their favorite things about him, and you can always have a conversation about the different things you enjoy. And also, even in some of the best things and the best pieces of work that involve Batman, there's always going to be things that you love, but are so dumb. And that's what I love about Batman. It's so easy to make fun of Batman, where also being like, this guy's awesome. Ben, thank you for hanging out.
Hey, Ben, what's up?
Now, Ryan, obviously we're going to be ranking all the theatrically ranked Batman movies here. Again, these rankings are not ours. We have as I said, we tweeted out a survey to the community, handed out to other people, and all of your feedback came and gave us these rankings. So if you want to get mad, you're only allowed to get mad if you filled out the survey. If you didn't fill out the survey, you got no right to be mad. Ryan, do you have any thoughts about is there one movie on the survey that you're hoping gets all the way up there?
Honestly, there are going to be some films where I will make some hard arguments on why they should be a little higher. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm hoping that the 66 Batman movie actually gets some more. I don't expect it to crack the top 5 or get in the A or S tiers, but I'm hoping for it to get a lot of positivity towards it, because a couple of Batman films that's going to be on this list, some of them have negativity that's warranted, or some criticisms and jokes warranted towards it. But knowing nowadays with Hollywood and comic book films coming out, and so many directors taking shots at comic book movies, it should be important to realize that if you really just try not to look at these films seriously, and I don't mean comic book films shouldn't be serious. I mean, we shouldn't try to take these as if it's the word of God, or if it's the law. We should take it for what they are, and then you might, and hopefully there'll be some entertainment out of it.
Yeah, that's what I get to, and I think more and more people are accepting of that. Obviously, some people have a massive platform and are able to look down on things that they feel are not as important or not as big as their artsy movies would like to be. But that's part of why I'm really excited about doing this show. I think it's going to be, even some of the less good films, I think it's going to be a celebration of those films.
Yes.
And
I agree. I'm looking forward to celebrating these films.
Looking forward to celebrating it. And with that, we're going to get right into the ranking. We're going to start by actually, Soda, could you bring up the tier ranking first of all, just so that we can see what we're working with? So I've broken into a tier ranking. The survey, everyone could fill out and give each movie a score between 1 to 10 or 0 to 10 stars. And then based on their what the averages came back is going to determine where in the tier they fall. Obviously, S tier is the smallest tier because I want it to be the hardest to crack into. Now, starting with the D tier, getting between 0 to 2.4 stars, there are no Batman films that fall here. Everything is at least C tier and above. I think if I had included...
I'm glad to hear that, honestly. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think if I... No, please, Ryan. Right, this is your show as much as it is mine. I think if I had included Catwoman in here, like I originally had thought to, I think we probably would have a D tier movie. But Catwoman's not on this list, so everything's C and above, baby.
Yeah, because Catwoman does not. It makes no reference to Bruce Wayne or Selena Kyle. I mean, only an Easter egg of Selena Kyle, but but Catwoman really is its own movie, and so we don't have to worry about that.
Northern rankings of Catwoman coming soon. But starting now with the C tier, Ryan, what do you think our first one here is going to be?
Honestly, if I had to, it's going to be a tie with either Batman and Robin or Batman Forever. Personally,
it is Batman and Robin coming in at 3.8 stars out of 10. Yeah. Batman and Robin, a film that the more I watch, the more I enjoy, ironically, and just for fun. Not even ironically as much as there's so much joy that comes out of watching a fire sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. And I know most people's arguments, the most quickest argument everyone's going to shout out about Batman and Robin was, oh, it was made for kids. It's made for kids. And I've made that argument too. But even then, I knew a couple of adults. My parents didn't hate this film. They're not big Batman fans. But when they took someone like myself and my brothers who were like within like 10, 9, and 7 to see this film, all they cared about is if we were having a good time. And we had so much of a good time that they bought the movie on VHS. And my brothers and I, we didn't abuse it, not much more we did with Batman Forever, but we loved watching Batman and Robin. They got our imaginations going.
Imagination is a great word for this because it really is from the design of Gotham to all the over-designed suits to the several dance numbers that are included in Batman and Robin to Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Like, imagination was put into that movie and it's all there on screen. I just wish Clooney cared a little bit more.
A part of me thinks he did care. I just don't think he understood what he was getting into, honestly. Especially looking back at this. He's playing Batman as a regular dude. Now, if you just look at Batman and Robin as its own movie, then yeah, Clooney doesn't look like he understands Batman one bit. Personally, I don't think this is warrant or should be argument for him to apologize for playing the role of Batman. This is just, honestly, and I don't care if people are going to hate me for it, but it's nothing but a bunch of butthurt fans angry because a normal guy is playing someone who's psychologically broken as a normal dude. And one thing I do bring up, because this film is a connective thread to all the other Batman films, this is a kind of a complete arc for Bruce Wayne.
Okay. I'd love to hear more about that, please.
Well, okay. I will be very quick on this. Starting off with going back all the way to Batman '89 when we're introduced to Tim Burton. Bruce Wayne, even though he's a playboy, he's a philanthropist, he's throwing a charity. But when you look at Bruce Wayne through his interactions with Vicky, he is someone who is kind of shut out from everyone else. He like the dinners. I mean, we'll bring up more about that stuff later, but the fact that he's a stranger in his own home, he's only comfortable around Alfred. He has to sleep doing calisthenics because he can't sleep in a bed. And every year he visits I mean, that's not unusual behavior for someone who revisits the place where their parents died, kind of like a memorial. But even then, throughout the film, he's always distributing behavior that's not normal. Especially that scene when Joker kills a mobster. Everyone is down, ducking for cover. He is straight up just walking towards Joker as if he's drawn to something. And I like and also a line that Bruce says in Batman, I don't know what to make of this stuff as well. And he does it because no one else can. That's a great representation of Bruce. And then moving on to Batman Returns, he's even more of a shutout. That opening where he's just sitting in the dark in his library waiting for the bat signal. He only becomes more and more himself. Yes, okay, yeah.
Chill.
The Dice Age. But to continue on with Bruce, even then, he's not a complete shutout like most of the later interpretations of Bruce Wayne are like even the Nolan films. In here, he's being proactive in Gotham as Bruce Wayne, running a company. And when he meets Selena, you start to see him become love-struck, honestly. Yeah. Batman Returns, even though it's kind of a bit like a gothic film, Bruce and Selena's romance fall a bit like a rom-com, honestly, because they're having Bruce is like a love-struck teenager in front of Selena, and they reference Vicky because they reference Vicky in that film, showing that he tried to make it work with her, but it wasn't working because he was too dedicated to Batman.
Yeah.
Then we move to Batman Forever. Well, we move to Batman Forever. Bruce, another reference to Selena, but Bruce once again is someone who is still struggling to where his parents' trauma is starting to affect him when he is awake.
Mm-hmm.
Like the trauma is still part of his persona. And even I love how they reference him killing the Joker, as if you wake up one day and you're like, he's talking to Dick. You wake up one day and you realize vengeance has become your life, telling you that there's a part of Bruce that did not want this for himself. And that's why he's always trying to push Dick away instead of embracing him. So I do love his interactions with Chase and Batman Forever that makes him become more of a mentally healthier person. So as we do get the Batman and Robin, as much as you want to hate his performance, George Clooney is playing Batman as if someone who's finally mentally healthy. He has a committed relationship, although with his girlfriend, he does not want to get married because he doesn't believe she'll understand him being Batman, with proof of the baggage he has with Vicky and Chase Meridian, him trying to balance being a mentor or like a brother or father figure to Dick Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you have that relationship with him and Alfred, to where they reflect on Batman, to where he starts off realizing, like, it's always about me. Is it my way? Alfred's kind of like, yeah, you're a bit of a dick, but you're like that. Yeah, pun intended.
Yeah.
But you're like that because you have seen, you were experiencing something as a kid, and you want no one else to experience that as well. And I love how he flashbacks to how the flashbacks in his mind where he sees Alfred being the father figure to him, to show that Bruce Wayne really is more than just Batman. So whenever someone likes to say that they present the argument or a statement that Bruce Wayne is a mask and Batman is who he really is, I will constantly reference all four of these movies to prove them that they are wrong. This is all about Bruce Wayne having to balance, wondering if he wants to be Batman for the rest of his life, and if he is, what kind of ways he's going to present Batman.
That I've never heard that explained in that quite that way, but that's a really interesting way to go about it, and I think it's going to help me reflect better next time I sit down with that film.
This isn't a classic film. It's a so bad film, but I still think, because you brought up the art, to the visual, the art, the sets, the costumes, the fucking score. This film is
pretty
meant to
intense.
entertain. It was meant to entertain.
Now, that was obviously very well said. I can't wait to get your thoughts on some more of these amazing films, and some, less than stellar films, but films nonetheless. Ryan, let's go back to the tier list. What do you think we're going to be seeing next?
Oh, definitely looking forward.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining us. What do you think we're going to be seeing next?
Well, we did get Batman and Robin at a C tier. I think what's going to be next either going to be Batman v Superman or Batman Forever. Sorry? I was going to say Dark Knight Rises, but that's just, to me, that's the lowest.
Ryan, I have some terrible news for you. Coming in with 4.4 out of 10 is Batman 66.
Oh,
I know you really wanted to push for that, and honestly, this is the first time on this show I'm going to say criminal that this is so low. Criminal. Yeah. This is like, I can't even. I love that. Yeah, exactly. Let it burn. Let it all burn. The Batman 66 is a bad movie. It's by today's standards.
But
there's something so inherently charming about watch it. Yeah, that sucks. Next time we do this, guys, you don't see your faves down the C tier. Get out, promote, share that survey. We got a lot of votes this time. Maybe next time we can rally some more and get 66 up higher. But with this movie, there's so many things. Like, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. This comment from Ben. Some days you just can't get rid of a bad rating. And it goes on just long enough to be cringy and then get funny again. And everyone is giving almost the opposite of what I just said about Clooney, where I think everyone is giving it 110% because they know what kind of movie they're in.
Yeah.
From the shark repellent spray to all the dignitaries getting
Like they're getting their matter disintegrated and then disintegrated.
But then everyone's speaking the different language because they got the dust mixed up.
Mixed because of a clueless and aloof sea captain who couldn't even tell he was at sea and just wanted to get his tea straight. Like, as much as it is goofy for what it is, and people can go, "Oh, okay, yeah, I was gonna say that." But here's the difference. They took something of Batman because if you all know of its comic origin, especially most of you at home, Batman was way darker during his time in the comics to where he was made to be a little more digestible. Yeah. It's like everyone wants to say Adam West's Golden Age Batman. No offense, Golden Age Batman was kind of a monster and a chauvinist and an asshole.
And he had a gun.
Yes, guns. He killed people. Not more vaguely, but he literally killed people. And he treated Dick with disrespect.
Not just killed people. He hanged mentally deranged patients from his plane and then cut the string and let him fall to a building.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And this has been war crimes with Soda.
No, but Soda does bring up a good point because I think, and this is kind of partially on the 66 movie and the TV show, they did such a good job of making Batman look family friendly that all of the past comic strips and comic series of his character have been kind of like softly rebooted to the Silver Age, to where he became more he had a lesser stance on killing criminals and mentally insane, to where it was just jokes. So if I had to say anything about the 66 film, it stays true to what it is. Yeah, so to bringing this up.
Wow. The man came with receipts.
Oh, and that's an argument I will school people on.
To go on with 66, like, it doesn't take, even though it's kind of campy, it's ridiculous, it's a little stupid, but then at the same time, the villains create the villains of Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman, and Joker create this machine that will destabilize people and then use water to rehydrate them. And if we saw exactly what happens when, not in the wrong hands, but when someone accidentally messes up, look what happens. Batman and Robin have to slave in the Batcave for hours, maybe even days. Hours, obviously. If they had more time, they could have gotten each representative to speak the right language. But they had to spend hours on trying to at least get all the molecules right. So they succeeded in saving their lives, but there's a mix-up. And hold on, I think remember, like, even some of the ridiculous stuff kind of pays off. Like Riddler shooting rockets in the sky for jokes. Guess what? One of those rockets happens to hit the Batcopter and sends them colliding into the sea. And as much as everyone wants to make jokes at the Bat repellent spray, y'all forget he had other sprays there. He had one for Barracuda, Manta Ray. Like, this is just it's a joke, but it shows a Batman's preparedness.
This is really, Batman 66 is really the greatest case against having billionaires, because this man can have several aquatic themed deterrents. And like,
one thing I will say, that this film, they do say that Batman and Robin are deputized by the law. So they work hand in hand with the police. Yeah. But it does make an argument against billionaires.
Now, one of my favorite scenes in that is going back to where the dignitaries are all rehydrated. After they realize that they're speaking the wrong language, just Batman and Robin looking at each other and slowly backing out of the room. It's like,
I did take a note on the languages that they were mixed up in, and I do say that each council member, the U.S. representative was speaking Japanese, the Japanese was speaking English, the UK representative was speaking Russian, the Russian representative was speaking German, the West German was speaking Hebrew, the Spanish representative was speaking Nigerian, France was speaking the UK English, Nigeria was speaking Spanish, and Israel was speaking French. So trust me when I tell you, it's like a puzzle.
They honestly, it's surprising not more things got messed up by that, by the molecules getting mixed up. I gotta say, talking about the villains of this piece, you already talked about Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, who I think is fantastic in this movie. Joker. I love Cesar Romero, always have. Even mustache and all. I love him. I think every Joker should have a
I
mustache.
love he refuses to shave that mustache. It's kind of like shows star power back then to where unfortunately movie studios, instead of like, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Now it's like we reference to Superman to where, oh, he's got a goatee. Well, we'll just waste $12 million on terrible chin.
I hear actually that was a throwback in the original Justice League. It was, oh, we're doing their 66. We're doing a Cesar Romero thing and just like badly covering up his mustache.
We'll see. This film, but one of my last thoughts on this film, it is very honest of what it is, and it's hilarious that there's one interaction between between Bruce Wayne and Kitka, who's Catwoman.
Yeah.
They're all having this nice, like, intimate moment, and Robin, who's so uncomfortable, he's just like, things should be private. Alfred, he's like, shouldn't we just watch?
Oh my god, 66 Batman, fantastic. But I think we're gonna have some Yes, this was horny Batman. Batman was thirsty.
Oh,
Ryan,
he eyed Kitka.
Ryan, we still got plenty of Batman movies.
Yeah, we got a lot more.
So let's keep this ball rolling. I'm just gonna tear the Band-Aid off. It's not Batman Forever. It's not Dark Knight Rises. Batman v Superman coming in at 4.9. It was at a 5 when I originally opened, but in the time it's taken us to get to Batman v Superman, another rating was submitted, and it bumped it down from the bottom of B tier to the top of C tier.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, this is a movie.
Right there. Changing the ratings in real life, y'all.
Batman v Superman is a movie that I always have stood by. I think Ben Affleck is a fantastic Batman. I think it's telling a different story than what we're used to, but it is telling a very, why do you say that name, Martha? Also, how crazy is it that, like, until that movie, I've been a fan of Batman and Superman for decades. Never put that together. Just never thought about that. And I don't think anyone else had until Zack Snyder did.
I think it was just hilarious how so many nerds out there, Batman stands, were going, oh yeah, we know that. And then all of a sudden, Zack Snyder just goes, oh, did you happen to know that their moms had the same name? And everyone goes, why was that an important piece?
This is a movie, I think the choreography is, I really enjoyed the Batman v Superman stuff. I think it would have been much stronger if we had had a Batman movie first. But at the end of the day, I still really like what we got here.
I actually would have preferred this to be a 2-part movie, honestly. The first one being solely a majority Superman-led film that's hinting at Batman coming in. And then the later half can still be a Batman-Superman film, but it's more of you're looking at things on Batman's side. Like, I get it. Like I remember when the movie was coming out, every Reddit thread and people were saying, "Oh, don't worry, this is gonna be a 2-parter. It's Man of Steel, Enter the Night, and then it's Man of Tomorrow. Justice. The Search for Justice." I'm like,
Search for Justice.
That was some of the fun things I was seeing, but I will say, I really think that Zack Snyder wanted to honestly make a Batman movie with this one.
Yeah, I feel like Zack Snyder had a similar thought process that Ben Affleck had when he did the Daredevil movie, so we're going to go on a little walk here, but Ryan's gone on some walks. It's my time to go on a walk.
For it.
So you know what? This isn't actually a walk. It's going to be very quick. Ben Affleck famously back in the time he was doing Daredevil, they were asking him, and obviously he's a huge comic book fan, always has been. And they were asking him, like, so why did you choose to jump on to Daredevil? And he said, well, I'll probably never get to be Batman because, like, I'm from Boston and I'm getting too old to do it. So I did this because it will probably be the closest I'll ever get to be Batman. And just seeing the love he has in Batman v Superman, you can tell he's having a great time. I think him feigning being drunk so that he can go put the thing to steal the data. As a big animated series fan, or like Justice League Unlimited and all that, seeing the flirtatious relationship between him and Wonder Woman was just giving me everything I wanted. And as a fan of the Arkham games, you can show me anything in any other Batman movie, and I will show you the warehouse scene, and it's like, I think I win. Because that scene just kicks ass.
Yeah, it does,
And
buddy.
I do love the back and forth between him and Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a good way of having someone like Ben Affleck, who is a veteran actor, carry and work with Gal Gadot, who is still very new at that time. So you don't get her to use a lot. She's mainly just responding to him while he's handling all the flow. And I do like that. My biggest downplay is just like Snyder. I understand the director's cut, the Ultimate Edition, fills out a lot of gaps, but this film could have been fine without Lex Luthor, personally.
Oh, I think for sure it probably Lex Luthor. Even though, like, when the movie was originally coming out, I thought to myself, if I was to make Lex Luthor now, he would probably be a Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg type. So Jesse Eisenberg, fantastic casting, I think, if you're going for that. I just don't gel with that. And I think Ben brought up a good point where I think there's a lot of the Superman stuff in this movie that I just didn't personally connect with. But that being said, the Batman stuff, as we said, I don't have a problem with Batman killing people. Every single film he's in, Batman kills people. Show me, like, except for maybe Phantasm, I think is the one that he doesn't kill anybody.
Batman and Robin. I watched it. He does not. I'm not saying. Here's Batman, Robin, and Batman the movie, the '66 film, and I'll even argue Lego Batman. These are the three films where Batman doesn't purposefully or by proxy or through any involuntary means kills anyone.
Yeah, I guess I was gonna say Poison Ivy, but
No,
Batgirl. Batgirl gets Poison Ivy in the thing.
Well,
and
she
she
kicks her
lives.
ass. Poison Ivy ends up in Arkham Asylum.
That's right.
And Bane's not killed either.
That movie is Dr. Jason Woodrow in the beginning. That is the only death.
That's true.
Yeah, but not by Batman's hands. Poison Ivy kills a lot of men with her poison kiss.
Yeah,
but Batman technically does not kill. No, Batman. I will say never kills anyone. So when everyone likes to do the whole Batman doesn't kill, here's Batman and Robin.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a bitter pill you have to swallow.
Yeah, because I love the way the Batmobile looks in this. I love that the Batmobile, the Tumbler. I like the Tumbler a lot, but it doesn't feel like a Batmobile as much as it feels like a tank. This feels like a car that he can zip around in and still punch through buildings. And
I love that chase scene, honestly.
Yeah.
I love that chase scene. It just shows Batman's mentality. Like he's like
relentless.
Yes. And also with Alfred, he's worrying about Bruce at his older age. He's like when you're branding him, like criminals are criminals. Like,
this actually, I feel bad because I did not put a favorite Alfred question on the survey. I forgot to do that. But I will say the Jeremy Irons, Ben Affleck relationship, I think is my favorite Alfred Bruce relationship, where they feel a lot more like partners as opposed to like a servant. And that's what it would be like, where I go to have lunch with my dad or something, and like he's expecting me, it's like to wait on him. And I love that Bruce is getting Alfred coffee when he shows up, and Alfred's just kind of an annoyed dad. And I love
it just shows how good they are with each other. I love that. Even the whole 1% thing that he does with Alfred, like the 1% chance, no reference to anything, but it just shows once again Bruce's mental state. It's okay. They're great. But this is more of an older relationship to where I even like when Bruce Wayne returns after that little like the encounter with the police and branding that criminal. Alfred, you see him, he's working on a suit, testing it out. He's like, "There's nothing wrong with this. What's wrong with you?" Like, he's an annoyed dad. To where when Bruce tells Alfred his plan to kill or attack Superman, you really see a genuine sense of worry in him. He's like, "You lost his whole you're gonna go to war." Honestly, is a subtext of, "Have you lost your fucking mind?"
Yeah. And honestly, it is that thing where I think Ben Affleck speaks that thing that a lot of us don't want to actually say in that movie, whereas when we read comics and we watch movies, we're like, yeah, obviously I would love Superman to be around, flying around, helping us. But like, what? But if Superman was outside my window, I'd be fucking terrified, even if he was a good guy, because at any second he could just say, you know what? He could just injustice us and say, you know what? Everyone dies now. Everyone dies.
I'm not against the injustice thing. It's just for me, I've already seen many different versions of Superman gone evil before Injustice made the whole, you took Lois Lane from him, now he's evil. But no, but you're making a good point. He's bringing up the point that Superman, on a whim, or he can finally just have enough, he could have had enough with us and go, you know what? You're not getting it done, so I'm going to get it done. Which is why, it's kind of reason why I don't mind the nightmare sequence either.
I think the nightmare sequence, and has been improved because of the Snyder cut and like seeing how that is extended out. I had a lot of problems with the nightmare scene originally just because it was a little confusing as to he wakes up from the nightmare sequence and then he has another flash dream, and I'm like, that's weird.
That part bothered the hell out of me. We'll wrap this up soon. I hated the fact that Flash shows up and then all of a sudden he disappears and then Bruce wakes up again. I'm going, did the studio not like that, Zach? Or did you think it was just a little too teasing of the Justice League? Because clearly your title, Dawn of Justice, meant you're teasing the Justice League. That's the one thing that could change to where Bruce can, instead of Bruce waking up, it can just be at this moment to when Superman's about to kill Bruce, a whoosh happens, and then all of a sudden you see a whoosh right outside the Batcave where Bruce is staring at the computer. He looks, and then there's the Flash.
Yeah. I think, honestly, if you had just had Martian Manhunter there to like, I think if you had both of them there, I think it would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah. Actually, best use of Martha Manhunter.
Martha Manhunter. Love it. All right. Going back to our tier rankings now. We are done with the C tier. Ryan, what do you think is going to kick us off in the B tier?
I want to be wrong, but I'm going to say Dark Knight Rises kicks off the B tier.
Ryan Payne, it is with 5.7, so almost a full star rating up from Batman v Superman, is Batman Forever.
Ooh, okay.
Man, that poster, that's a fucking poster. When I was a child, this was my favorite Batman movie. I loved this. I was like, Riddler's so much fun, and Two-Face is crazy, and had a huge crush on Chase Meridian for, maybe still, who knows?
I've said this to my friends in chats. Chase Meridian got me aware of puberty and the feelings I have. Nicole Kidman made me a man in the puberty sense.
I think I really like that. I think Chase Meridian, outside of man, I didn't put this down either. I think Chase Meridian might be my favorite love interest for Batman in any of these movies, unless Wonder Woman's counting. Because I think she challenges him in a way that no one else does. Even Vicky Vale, I think, comes off as clueless, and she's supposed to, because she's learning about Batman as we're learning about Batman.
Well,
but I think
she's brand new to Gotham, and so it's learning about the town. She's learning about She's only there for Batman. Meets Bruce Wayne, feels love struck. It's sort of the opposite with Chase. She came to Gotham to investigate, to psychoanalyze Two-Face, but then she gets love struck by Batman.
Yeah.
But yet Bruce shows up, and you're right, she does challenge him. It ties back to what I said about his arc. Because go ahead. No, you go.
No, please. I was about to interrupt you. You go. You're flowing.
I was gonna say the first time they meet, Bruce hears Chase, grunting, like she's in a struggle. He assumes, oh my gosh, she's in danger. That's Batman kicking in.
Yeah.
He shows up. He's made a fool of himself because you see Chase Meridian. She's just punching on a punching bag. She comes back, shows, she looks at the riddles he's given, and of course Bruce, and I like that little banter. He's like, oh, backup. Technical term. She's like, okay. And the look she gives at him, she's like, I'm not dealing with your bullshit. But I love when it turns when he sees that Rorschach painting.
We'll get there.
I love it when he looks at that Rorschach painting and he clearly goes, "You have a thing for bats?" This is kind of where that argument of where Bruce Wayne is the mask can be made as a legitimate valid point, because he is so obsessed with being Batman. I love it when Chase goes, "Oh no, you see what you want to see into it. Do you have a thing for bats?" And then it kind of turns into where she's psychoanalyzing him. And I love it to where the moment when she looks like she's getting towards him, he just goes, "Yikes, time's up."
Yeah, that's great. And I know that Tommy Lee Jones hates Jim Carrey, but I love Jim Carrey's Riddler in this film specifically. Am I excited to see Paul Dano's Riddler and Matt Reeves' The Batman? Obviously. Yes. But I love Jim Carrey, and whether he's Eddie at the beginning with that stupid red hair to his 17 different costume changes he has. I don't know. It's clearly less than that, but he just, every time he's in something different, whether he's showing up at Riddler's or at Two-Face's hideout, or he's in that weird silver thing that he's got at the end.
Final boss mode, honestly.
To everything he says, I think is fantastic. And even at the end where he's flapping in like the big jump, restraint suit, it's like, "I'm Batman."
Speaking of Riddler, before we switch on, I have to jump into the whole riddle. Nothing from the film. I'm not quoting the film, but I'm actually going to throw out a legit riddle. So all of you in the chat, or those who are going to rewatch this, and Dave yourself and Soda, be prepared. Here's the riddle. Riddle me this. What do a dollar and the moon have in common?
What do a dollar and the moon have in common?
Common.
Yeah, no, that was me fucking up. What do a dollar and the moon have in common? They're only good once a month? I don't know.
I don't know if I can't look at the chat, so if there's any answers in the chat, you can throw
no answers in the chat.
And no answers in the chat.
Okay, well, here's the answer. They both have 4 quarters.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
That's good. That's a good one.
All right, and this is the last one. That's for us to transition. What food is so funny that it can be a comedian?
Carrots. Carrot tops.
I wish this was, a food item.
Food item.
I love it. I love the energy.
Carrot tops. Prop coming. Yeah, props.
All right. I will drop the answer, but any thoughts, final thoughts? Because on Batman Forever.
Oh, and Batman Forever. I also love. I like Chris O'Donnell as this iteration of Robin. I just wish he was a decade younger. It's like when he shows up, and it's like when Jim Gordon shows up to Bruce Wayne, it's like, "Oh, somebody's gotta take him in." It's like, no, that's a 26-year-old man. Like, he can just go live his life. Like,
and you are right there. You are right on that point too. Because look, I may have, of course, as a kid, I'm not thinking of anything. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna get Robin, great. And I didn't even care about the age portion. It's just like, I like the fact that Commissioner Gordon, he looks at Dick, he goes, he just lost his family, someone needs to take him in. Everyone assumed, of course it wasn't until Dick says it saves me a lot of charity and social service interviews, so it does allude to how old he can be. Yeah. But at the same time, when Commissioner Gordon brings him, I'm thinking, this man just lost his closest family. It doesn't even look like, and especially talking with Bruce later, he doesn't care about being in the circus anymore. He's in a paradigm shift to where he wants vengeance. So I like how Bruce is going, this kid doesn't need vengeance right now. He needs something stable, structure. So I like the fact that he takes him to the garage. He doesn't try to bribe him or anything. He just goes, look, you fix it up. This is his way of keeping him around, but you can have a token of my goodwill. Mm-hmm. And I love it. Alfred just being that, and he puts that on there. He's like, a nice, well-cooked burger, and you see those sides on the side, and you're like, oh, I guess the dogs are hungry. Oh, yeah, wait up. I'm like, you're not turning that burger for nobody.
I also love that he finds the Bat Cave because he's not a fucking idiot.
Exactly.
He lives with Batman, and it's like, wait a minute. You guys just walk into a room and then you're not there anymore? I'm gonna do some laundry karate, but then I'm gonna sneak into the Batcave.
At the same time, he goes like he says, "I've explored every area of this house, but this is the only door that's locked." Yeah. Who else is not going to get curious with that?
Exactly. I really like that, and I put down in the survey, and we'll get to it later, but I put down I want to see Jim Carrey take another shot at Riddler, especially now that
I honestly, yeah,
especially now he's got the Eggman thing going, and just like plop him back in.
I personally kind of want to see Chris O'Donnell come back as this time as Nightwing. He
That'd
is
be pretty
old
sick.
enough to where, or hell, make a bat. I doubt we're going to see this in the Flash, but maybe hell, do where Dick Grayson becomes Batman in the comics. Have Chris O'Donnell be Batman. It's a big leap for everybody out there, but I would like to see him come back and give it another shot. And by the way, if there's no answers in the chat for that riddle, the answer was crackers.
And on crackers, we move back to
on crack.
Trust me, I've shared some riddles with some other people, and they go, "You son of a bitch."
Son of a bitch. Mr. Ryan Payne, what do you think? You're still waiting on Dark Knight Rises. What do you think's up next? Is it Dark Knight Rises this time?
Well, I gotta take my own personal taste out of this and B tier. I mean, the only reason why I think Dark Knight Rises is not A or S tier is mainly because it kind of fizzles itself out when you rewatch the first two of Batman Begins and Dark Knight. There's still some good stuff in Dark Knight Rises, I will say, but it looked to me like this was one that Nolan was just looking to finish because he had a deadline.
That'd be cool.
I think he means Soldier. Or do you mean the Soldier Boy in the Boys? If not, if he's playing Batman in an animated version, then I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But I guess for me,
sorry, go ahead. No.
I'll see what the movie I think is next is Batman Returns.
Ryan Payne with 6.11 out of 10. Batman Returns is next.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, even though Ben brought it up earlier, talking about Catwoman in this movie, Michelle Pfeiffer, fantastic.
God,
this is
so underrated performance that people need to look back and watch.
Yeah, it really is. But this is a movie I have never gelled with. I understand seeing it in B tier. Probably, I read it today. I'll have to look into that Galaxy.
Yeah, I just quickly Googled it, and he is involved in a secret DC project, so it is still possible, yes.
Oh, that's cool.
And he voiced Red Hood in Red Hood. So
I was gonna say, because of how good he was as Red Hood in Under the Red Hood, I can't see him as Batman.
That would be cool. Batman Returns is a movie I think that a lot of people are just not doing it for me. I don't know why. I don't love Keaton in this. Danny DeVito is in a different movie than everybody else.
It is funny. I just did I won't say I just did, but a YouTube channel I follow did a watch along to Batman Returns because one of them had not seen it for the first time on last Thursday. And just rewatching that, seeing someone Keaton is even yes.
Yeah.
And here's one thing: seeing someone's first reaction to Batman Returns, especially to Danny DeVito's Penguin, really said volumes. Exactly. Sure, Burton may have put too much of himself in this, but he kind of understood the assignment of the dark gothic world he was setting up. Yes, I hated the fact that Penguin turns out to be a man penguin with flippers for hands.
Yeah.
He didn't have to go too literal on that.
Yeah. He's like black sludge coming out of his mouth, and I'm like, this
literally
is
eating raw fish, even though he lives in an underground circus with other performers who are not eating like him. I can understand. That's the one thing that kind of broke my heart, though. They could have alluded to how he was treated like an animal, but because he's now the leader of his, he tried to elevate his status at least within the gang. Ooh, nice, Galaxy Geek.
But I think if it was just if they either turned down DeVito a little bit or turned him up even more, I don't even know what that looks like. But then also we didn't have penguins with rocket launchers that are like drone controlled at the end of it. And I love that in the comics and stuff. It's just a very different movie from whatever Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer are doing to every time we go back to DeVito. It's like, these are different movies.
You're right. And also, I will say, one thing I did not even pay attention to at first with Danny DeVito. Yeah, you're looking at his monstrous form, but this is a true scumbag, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially his interactions with Catwoman, and especially after in the mayor, when Shrek teases him being the mayor. I mean, of course, he bites the nose of one of the publicists, and I think it's a good retaliation because the publicist is pretty much he is pretty much demeaning his appearance, and he didn't have to go too literal with it. I would have liked him punching him in the face, but that's getting a point across. Like, don't make fun of my appearance. But then afterwards, he is what's the fucking word of the other woman? He is sexualizing her, like he's trying, and then of course, when he's listing the whole positives of being mayor, it's all about him just trying to get laid, especially when he makes that speech that one of the other young ladies who says he's a role model, the fact that he's being very putting a button on, that tells you this guy is not someone you want to be in a fucking room with. And then gets the Catwoman to where it's pretty much just white man, small dick energy, to where he is trying to come on to Catwoman, not reading the signals, and then gives her a ring, and she goes, "I am not fucking interested in you." And he goes, "You send out the wrong signals, and I don't like you anymore." What signals? I'm glad you died with your throat cut, falling through glass.
Yeah. Now, Penguin, he does do some good stuff in this movie. I love him hacking. I love the whole framing Batman angle that they have hacking the Batmobile, even though Batman can fix it because he has a CD that's like anti-hack. Get the Batmobile
well, he was
back.
recording the Penguin, obviously. But...
That's right. Yeah, but I love seeing that because it's obviously so easy to make Batman out to look like the bad guy, and the fact that this is the only movie that really dives too deep into that. I know, like the obviously the Nolan movies are like, is he good? Is he bad? Oh, I don't know. What's he doing? Yeah. But the fact that they actually go as far in this movie as to have the bad guys frame Batman for the murder of the Ice Princess.
Yes, the Ice Princess.
Yes. Yeah, the fact that they went that far. Brennan, how you doing, my man?
Hey, Brennan, what's up?
Just such a smart plan. Penguin may be one of the most competent Batman villains we have, despite being a total buffoon.
Yeah, especially the way he's been outdone, which is kind of like in a true politician way, to where everything he said, like, these people are idiots. They took everything, they gobbled everything up I had, and guess what? All Batman had to do was hack his PA system and just play those words out. And I love that fucking commentary line he has after he's being attacked by the mob. Why do people bring tomatoes and lettuce to a speech?
That is DeVito. As much as I said I didn't jive with DeVito, that is something I love. He has some killer lines in there.
And and not to overlook Chris Walken, but Chris Walken, Jesus Christ.
That man was also in a very different movie, but I loved it. Christopher Walken, fantastic. And Michelle Pfeiffer, though, as much as I said Chase Meridian was my favorite love interest for Batman, the ballroom scene that obviously they kind of ape in Dark Knight Rises, where it's like, do we have to start fighting now? That moment, heartbreaking every time. Like,
I love that look, the tone in her voice too, because her journey, Michelle Pfeiffer, dominating performance throughout this film. Her being a normal person, you even see from her journey. She's just a secretary working for a disgusting individual. She has to lower herself to a position to where she has to be overlooked by some of the men. I love that scene when she comes back to her apartment normal. She's listening to her messages, and that prospect of a second date is gone away. And that line she says, maybe I should have let him win in tennis or racquetball. It just shows she's holding herself back to please to please somebody else. And then when she comes back from being resurrected from dying, that that Gotham Lady perfume of that ad.
Yes.
I love the slow realization she's having on her face, because at first you see her, she's kind of like a zombie, to where she's just she's doing her little routine, her daily life, but then all of a sudden she hears stay late at work, the slow realization, and that blood curdling scream, because she remembers it. I love her performance, and everything throughout that film. It just shows one thing. This is a drawback to one of the watch along I was watching on the channel. Someone in the live chat was constantly saying that, oh, she's psycho, she's crazy in this film. I'm like, she's not crazy. She's someone who survived. Well, we don't know if she truly died or not, but she's someone who came back, survived, had a near-death experience. She has a mental break, yes, but then at the same time, she's no longer wanting to stay within the status quo of what a woman should be, which is, and the funny thing is, she doesn't even go out to hurt anybody except for Max Schreck, and I like that, especially in her interactions with Bruce. You do see that she wants to be. Yes, you know a snark.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love that. And by the way, if you're enjoying the conversations we're having about Batman right now, you can get that every week right now, because Soda, Ben, they're doing a fantastic watch along every week. They're talking about a different Batman film. Yeah. Rewind the tape. Fantastic. You can catch that every Friday.
I think it's Thursday, because I was on when they did Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. It was Thursday. If it's Friday, then let us know, Soda.
It's Thursday. He's muted, but it is Thursday. And make sure you do that. And the only way you can make sure that you get that is liking this video, subscribing to our channel, share it with your friends to get more Batman, and sometimes some other stuff that's not Batman related.
Yeah.
Ryan,
I will finish off. I will finish off one more thing with Michelle Pfeiffer. She does have some very great nuances to her performance, and her chemistry with Michael Keaton is incredible. That's why it ties itself back to that masquerade scene, to where Selena, throughout this entire film, she has been nothing but have gone through near-death experiences twice. Once from Batman, another one from Penguin. She feels guilty for the death of the Ice Princess, because she thought she was just going to be scared. That's why I love that interaction between the two of them. And one thing I didn't notice on the rewatch, her costume, which is nice and solely tight at the beginning, slowly starts becoming undone, cut threads loosen on there. It's like a good symbolism of her mental state, to where she thinks she's together, but then of course, I even love that interaction she has with Bruce at the mansion, to where she says she scares herself sometime. Yeah, because she didn't think she was capable of this stuff. So when I'm done like her. When she does have that moment to where she wants to kill Max, and Bruce is talking her out of it, you can see that she's there just to be consoled, and she thinks and they both think it's just an innocent line they're saying, and then the realization on both of them, the fact that she cries knowing that they're enemies. And I love it when she says, "Do we gotta start fighting now?" That's her at a vulnerable moment. So it hurts too with their character. Now I'm about to get to the spoiler right now. Her character is pretty much a tragic character, especially when she has nothing but contempt to kill Max Schreck. You think Bruce is gonna get through to her, and then she realizes, no, that's not who I am. That's not who I want. I can't live with myself. You can see there is a little bit of heartbreak in Bruce, but at the same time, Selena chose to get rid of the fantasy that she wanted, that she thought that she could have, and deal with reality, which is why I like how she chooses to get her revenge on Max. And of course, we do see in the end, she didn't die. She's still around. But I like the fact she's going, I'm gonna live for myself now and not live for a guy.
Oh, yeah, that is fantastic, and what we'd love to see. And what else we'd love to see, Ryan, I'm not going to make you stress any more about it, okay? Coming in at 6.9 nice out of 10 is Dark Knight Rises. Last entry in the B tier. Dark Knight Rises, capping off the Nolan trilogy, falls in at 6.9 out of 10. 10. One of the most divisive films at the time, just because I don't even know why. This is always a movie that I've always gelled with. I actually really like Tom Hardy Hardy's Bane as
I
a
do
more nuanced version. I think you got to knock off like 2 points for maybe the worst death scene in any movie ever is Talia. I'm gonna watch this, and that's the entire. Did you notice I died? No, I didn't notice she died either.
I thought you were knocked out, but then of course it's like her eyes don't blink, so she's dead. I'm going, oh,
Yeah,
wow.
maybe the worst death scene in any movie, but
It's honestly a bit of a wasted character, personally.
Yeah.
I hated the fact that, I mean, look, the fans were speculating she was Talia from the start, but it's a bothering thing because it's at the height of the film, and it's Bruce Wayne proving that it's Bruce Wayne proving to something that Bane that I was put in the worst hell as you were, but I chose not to let that keep me down, and I came back from it. And then they do that turn towards Talia. I'm going, you didn't have to reveal her as Talia at that moment. You could have waited maybe afterwards when he stops the bomb, it can pan to her, and maybe one of the League of Assassins men comes to her and goes, Gotham is, he stopped the bomb, Gotham is saved. And it can just be with her going like, well, the Batman is dead. I may not have accomplished my father's dream, but at least his soul's at peace knowing that his Bruce Wayne is dead.
Yeah. I really think the opposite. I think you should have brought in Talia in the pit with Bruce when he first gets there. I think she's in so much of that movie early on that you get to know her as a character and you see the heel turn coming. But I think a reveal there where it's like, hey, I've stolen your company from you already. You've given me everything I wanted. I got to you. And that's why Bane was always so like ahead of him in every way, I think would have been a really cool twist. I think having it Talia, it kind of has that moment where it's kind of like Star Trek Into Darkness, where he's like, and I am Khan. It's like, that's more for, I feel like the Talia thing is for us. It doesn't serve the narrative because of how quickly that turn happens. Like, I think we know that she's Talia officially for like 5 minutes.
Doesn't do a good job when Bruce is being told the story of a child that came out of the pit, and then he pieces together that it's his that it's it's Ray's child. I'm sorry, as much as you want to do the whole Bane's your child thing, it still doesn't match. Especially there's holes in that story to when he says the child had a protector. Yeah, and seeing someone of that size, you can't help but think it's not Tom Hardy.
Yeah, now to say some positives about this. Spoilers, obviously.
This whole thing's full of spoilers. Also, sorry to win this chat.
When did Dark Knight Rises come out? 2012?
Like 2012, a couple of 4 years after The Dark Knight.
It's 2022. Get over it. But to talk about some positive things, I really like Jim Gordon in this movie. I love how conflicted he is about should he destroy the legacy of Harvey Dent because of what he did, because it's not right. He feels that it's a betrayal to Gotham itself. I love that. And it's not only like Bruce goes, I don't love that Batman just goes away for 7 years, but that we're not here to talk about what happens off screen. But I love that the actions of Batman and the moral journey he has a toll on everyone else, where the lie that Batman and Gordon have told has destroyed Gordon's entire life, where everyone is just like, he's probably gonna get fired any day now. His wife left him, all his kids hate him, and it's like it's just hurt so much. And every time he takes out that letter, it's just so heartbreaking. But
like it's a good moment of like this is a good man wanting to do the right thing, the truest, noblest thing in the world, but because he was asked to think of the greater good, he has no choice but to swallow his own moral pride. And look, I understand that moment with Gordon Levitt, telling him you betrayed everything you've done. I love how he goes around. That's the point. And even I love how he even says to him, like, if you were in my position, if you were in a world so dirty, so covered in dirt and like swimming up to your neck in injustice. And I love the fact that he says, I wish you had a friend like I had who could just fuck their hands, do the dirty work, or no, take the fall, do what I couldn't do.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you do see the change in dichotomy of Gordon's character. I mean, of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, where he's judging him on accepting the lie. But then you do see him later on where he's like, "You're right." It's a quick leap, honestly, but I get it to where they're like, "Oh, we want to tease him to carry the mantle." Okay.
Yeah, and also the getting when Joseph Gordon-Levitt comes to the mansion and is like, here's how I knew you were Batman, because I've seen that smile before. It's a smile I taught myself every day. It's like seeing the fact that people were able to figure it out was so cool, and it really gave a lot of relevance to Officer Blake's character.
Yes.
And also on that note, I love seeing Bruce's actions and just his depression just again seeping in, where he's like, yeah, the Wayne Foundation no longer pays for the orphanage. You don't have any money anymore because you fucked up doing all the Batman stuff, and also you've been sad because your maybe girlfriend died.
And not just that, I mean, the fact, like, even referenced with Miranda Tate, as she says, you put so much money in this project to save the world, and then you become a recluse because it fails. And yeah, it's one instance, but at the same time, you're so heartbroken and you've given up on humanity that you don't even care about the orphanage that your parents set up.
Yeah, I think it is really good. I think it's a really good examination of what being Batman, the toll that being Batman would have on you. Now, I can't let us move on before we talk about another Catwoman appearance on this list, Anne Hathaway. I flip-flop on every time I watch Dark Knight Rises. Do I like her? Do I hate it? I can't decide. I do love that her like little night vision goggles pop up to be her ears.
Yes.
I think that's fantastic.
I love they justify her wearing heels.
I love that move she does with the heel, where she like grabs the guy's gun, and to find out that she was getting played the whole time because the blank slate doesn't exist, even though it does exist at the end of the movie. I love that she's getting played the whole time, but is still totally in control.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. Like she's doing things out of out of desperation. Her getting Wayne's fingerprints was out of desperation. Her working with Daggett, desperation. She's someone, like you said, she's not someone who's easily fooled. She's just, unfortunately, because of desperation is on her, she's willing to do things that she's willing to compromise or at least work with people she wouldn't work with. That's why I love that moment to where she leads Batman down the tunnel into that little spot, locks him in, and she says, I had to stop them from trying to kill me. She thinks she's only turning in Batman, someone she kind of respects. And then the look on her face when she realizes, this is Bruce Wayne. This is somebody who could have helped me, but I turned my back on. I mean, sure, she had no high opinion of Bruce Wayne because she thought he was a rich yuppie like all the other people in Gotham.
Yep.
But to realize he is somebody who's out there on the streets trying to make a difference. That's why I love it when she says, you've given them, you don't owe them anything anymore. You're giving them everything.
Yeah.
To where she's saying, just no. In a way, she's saying they don't deserve to be saved. They don't deserve everything you sacrificed.
I like them. I like the chemistry and the back and forth they have about that. I don't like that they end up together at the end of it because I feel like that's really shoehorned in there. But I do love that, similar to Chase Meridian, that she challenges him on those different things.
Especially that dance between the two of them where Bruce thinks he saved Gotham. She just says, you didn't save you. I mean, she's asking, really look around. The people who are happy and enjoying themselves are the people like you in the high tier, the rich, the 1%. Yeah. You have not looked at all of us to see what's going on with us.
Yeah, and I also love that she picks his pocket at the end of that dance and steals the car. And he has and it's like, oh, your wife said you'd be taking a cab home. My wife, just seeing her ripping down in that car is fantastic. I love
I love it. Like, it's two people who know that they're wearing masks, but at the same time they're going. But she still had a bit of a low opinion of him, especially when he loses all his money, goes to her place. She goes, I love it at the end. She's like, I'm sorry that you lost your money. No, you're not.
Yeah, that is something. Bale is surprisingly funny as Batman. And we're gonna get a lot more of that, obviously, as we get into the. We still have 2 of his movies to get through.
True. We're
So
like halfway through this list.
kicking off the A tier, sitting at 7.6. So just cracking into the A tier. What do you think we got to start A tier off?
A part of me wants to say Batman Begins, but I think it's going to be the 89 Batman.
You were incorrect. Something, if you had asked me, is this an S tier Batman movie? I would have said 1000% yes. Mask of the Phantasm is the lowest. Yes.
Oh, okay.
7.6. And I will say there was a long time where it was squarely in B tier, but a lot of votes in positive way came for Phantasm late in the game.
I thought this was high A tier personally.
I thought this was going to be top of. I thought this was.
When was the last time you guys watched this movie?
Last year I did a rewatch.
Yeah, because for me it doesn't hold up as much as it did when I was younger.
No. You're just getting old and
there
sad,
are certain
I'm sorry to hear that.
You know, there are certain parts in the narrative that doesn't stick, but I still think this is a wow.
Wow. Burn it down.
Burn it down. Burn it down. Actually, it's kind of funny. He uses the Elmo flame when you should have been using the Joker laughing in the fire around him.
Now, that is something. Soda brings up some good points about it not holding up. I don't think it holds up great, but I'm still shocked to see it fall down this far. I think it's interesting. A lot of stuff in this movie, I think, works really well, just on the virtue of it being the animated thing that we all love.
Yes.
I think Phantasm is a great foil to Batman, and I think that goes back to the frame, how easy it is to frame Batman that we enjoyed so much about Penguin. I think oh my god, I can't remember, what is his love interest's name?
Andrea Beaumont.
There we go, Andrea Beaumont. I think she is really good.
Trivia fact for you: voiced by which other member of the DC animated
Dana Delaney. She voices
Lois Lane.
Oh, I didn't know that. That is really interesting, actually. I think she's really cool, and bringing in someone who knew Bruce before Batman is always really interesting, because usually you only get that perspective from Alfred. So I think it brings in a new twist on on who Bruce Wayne was, and getting to see
not only know Bruce Wayne, but honestly, she could have been the reason there was no Batman at all.
At that moment where he's talking to his parents' graves, like asking for permission to quit being Batman, I think is such. Like, you have to imagine in between every movie that scene is happening, but the fact that we got it crystallized on film here, I think was an amazing thing. And them learning, because the first time they see each other and they're talking to each other's parents' graves, and the fact that they're talking to each other, they talk to their dead parents in different ways, but they can still find that kinship in each other, I think really makes it interesting. And I don't think they do a great job hiding that Phantasm is Andrea, but I think it still works out pretty well.
You're right. When you do rewatch it, it does feel a little bit like it's in your face that's Andrea as the Phantasm.
Yeah.
But even then, the fact that it's the actor who voices the dad who is the Phantasm does a good job keeping that wool over your eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that most of the story is told in flashbacks, it was going to get to the point where you realize, oh no, the love interest that could have saved Bruce from being Batman is now the one on the path of vengeance. And I even do like how Bruce realizes that, even though it's her, he still wants to save her from doing something she's going to regret. But like Bruce, but the difference between her and Bruce, she's doing this, she's seeing this through.
Yes.
Not like chickening out or so, but she's on a path of vengeance. She has another way of accomplishing it. And unlike Batman, who's willing to adapt and realize there's a better way of honoring the ones who were taken from you without having to sacrifice a part of yourself, unfortunately, she does.
Yeah. I I would be remiss if we did not talk about Mark Hamill at all during this. I think he's probably my least favorite part about the movie, just because I think it could have probably been done without the Joker. And I think it's also
He does throw it off when the moment they bring him in.
I think it's also early enough in Mark Hamill voicing the Joker that I don't think he's quite nailed it to be as iconic as we get there. But hearing Mark as the Joker is always a treat. And seeing him in this movie is just something that you can't get past, and is going to raise it up in my books.
Yeah, you are right. Because I'll be honest, if this was simply a straight murder mystery involving Batman trying to figure out who this new vigilante is, and the fact he's targeting criminals that Batman had just taken down, in a way, kind of putting the fact that Batman kind of jumped the line, crossed the line.
Yeah.
This could have been a fun thing to where the public is unsure if Batman is still this it could have been a great way of casting finally a public doubt onto Batman. Why are we letting someone like this do the work that our police should be doing? And there could be some great talking moments, but I do love that this film still balances itself by going where Alfred has said, after the whole thing is over, Alfred does say to Bruce, "I am glad and thankful every day that you don't cross that line. You don't become exactly what you go out and hunt. Where you go out and hunt. It's kind of one of the reasons why he's still around." And to drop back on the past, that moment when Andrea leaves and breaks his heart.
Yeah.
Moment he finally puts on that Batman outfit, and Alfred
he looks terrified.
Yeah, it's like terror. It does show to you that this is the moment where Bruce fully embraces it, to where it does scare Alfred, and it works, because if Alfred is scared, then you damn sure know this is going to scare everybody else he comes across.
Yeah, that is a fantastic moment, and I also love about this movie that, similar to what we were talking about with 66, there's enough silly stuff in there that you can really just have a good time with it. Like when they're trying to figure out when they have the picture, and it's like, wait a minute. Draw a smiley face on that man. Oh, that's the Joker.
And then the cut to the laugh.
Yeah.
The Joker is hammy as all, but even then, you do see him playing on the trickster, the clown, the joke. But the moment that the mobster comes up to him and threatens him, that turn to menace is right there. So there is a good balance.
Yeah. Now we gotta keep moving. We gotta keep shaking.
Yeah,
but
let's jump to the next one.
Next one, not gonna have you guess this time, because we're staying animated, and it's the Lego Batman movie, coming in 7.7 out of 10. And I gotta say, I love this movie. I think not enough. I think a lot of people do love this movie, but looking at the ratings, there was a moment where it was as low as C tier, and then it came back, and there was a moment where it was above 89, and now it eventually has fallen where it does. But Will Arnett playing Batman in this way, from the Lego movie to his own film, is just amazing. He is one of the most depressed people I've ever seen. And shout out to 50 Shades of Geek. I know this is your favorite Batman movie. I see the 10s that it got on this survey. I know that one was for you.
I even put this as a 10. I even made this as 10 points, because
Me too.
I think this is honestly one of the best homage to Batman, but also does a great job at truly criticizing this character. The fact that he is someone who Gotham is constantly relying on to save the day. And then also, great moments. After he stops the bomb, everyone's showering him with praise. I love how the reporter goes, "Oh, he's probably going home to the people he loves." Cuts.
Yeah.
It's just him cooking lobster thermidor, watching a rom-com. And then, of course, that moment where he's talking to... Yes. Also this, too. Best exploration of Joker, Batman relationship, and Batman and Robin as well. A great criticism of how someone who's an outcast like Batman can take on someone like Robin.
Yeah. It's also such an amazing thing that they are able to just do this crazy left turn in the like, you know, the second third of the movie where they're like, all right, we've done all the Batman jokes, but what if Voldemort was here? What if Sauron was here? And
The Wicked Witch of the West, the Daleks,
and it's just, and then Batman eventually going to the Phantom Zone and seeing, and it's like, oh no, you must be a bad guy. Billy D. Williams is Two-Face. That's fantastic because he always wanted to be. I didn't realize this until I was doing some scanning for this show. Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman in that movie,
yes!
And now she's Catwoman.
Yes.
Like, what a pull.
Like, Conan O'Brien is the Riddler, which I didn't even know.
It's everyone has they do all the great jokes about every villain. They say everything you want to say, like the Bane voice to, I love when you see there's like 1,000 bat signals because every Orca has its own signal now.
I know, Flip. Like, I love the whole thing is like, Flip. It's like, Commissioner Gordon, you did a great job of saving our city. Flip. Like, yeah, that sums up Commissioner Gordon in one line.
I love Barbara in this movie. I think Harvard of Policing, I think, is a fantastic joke that gets overlooked every time, where she's doing all these things that she says the things that everyone is saying, where it's like, no, we need to work with Batman because this isn't working. And the relationship she has with Batman, where after the Joker turns him and all the other villains in, and Batman just sadly looking at the prison, expecting them to break out. And she's like, I can see you.
You can't.
You're just standing right there. Down to why is there a Phantom Zone projector strapped to that small child's back? Like, she has some killer lines in this movie, but also she's doing the right thing she's a solid cop who has a good idea, and she is what we all think Commissioner Gordon should be. And also, like, Rosario Dawson just killing it.
Yes.
I also love, this is another great Alfred relationship, I think in here.
Really treating him like a child, which is, I mean, he's trying to be an adult to him, but then you realize, man, he's just too much of a child. And I love he's reading the books, How to Control Your Unruly Child.
Then also, Michael Cera is fantastic as this bright-eyed Robin, just oh, Padre, oh my god, Batman.
And it's like, hello staircase, hello giant table,
secret camera. Like, he is fantastic to everything he does, to even when they're breaking into the Fortress of Solitude and they're trying to discuss what they can do, and Batman's like, can you be stealthy when I desire to be? Like, what cracks me up every time, and he's just doing great. It's like, all right, now just do all these incredible things in reverse and you probably won't die. And he's just so happy about it the entire time.
And then, like, later on in the film, because of Dick Grayson hanging around Batman so much, when Batman is stuck in the Phantom Zone, he's like, okay, what is it that Batman will do? Don't listen to anybody. Do things on yourself. Like,
yeah.
He literally grabs the Nightwing outfit, pretty much saying that this is how Batman is a terrible role model.
Yeah.
And then I love how it comes back to where Batman goes, no, you need to be better than me. Like, I like how it's all about Batman just opening up. And I even love that line he says to Joker, whoa, let me tell you something, Jay Bird. Batman and Joker are not a thing. There is no us. You mean nothing to me.
Wow, heartbreaking. Like, that's a shitty thing to say, even to a villain. I love
that Joker's whole thing is just so he can impress Batman.
Yeah. And I love when you get to see Joker's watching TV and he's hearing about Superman. It's like, oh yeah, you know, me and Zod, we have our fights, and you can't be a good hero without your best villain ever. I love that, and just how sad he is.
Yes.
And then,
oh god, it sucks.
And Zach Galifianakis, I think, plays it because of who he is. He could have toned it up just a little bit more, and it would have been too much. But he plays the perfect sad sack Joker, not in a Joaquin Phoenix way, but in a he just really wants Batman to like him, to the end where it's like, I need you. It's like, oh my God.
I love it. And he's going, and I love how they save the day where it's just, how's your abs? How's the little thing?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna need to do it with some thick, shredded abs.
I even love right at the beginning, like one of the first jokes is like, oh, we're just flying over Gotham with, and they list off all the things they're doing. It's like, oh, nothing will go wrong. And then Joker immediately breaks in. It's like, haha, Batman. And it's like, Batman will stop you. No, he won't. Yes, he does every time. Like, and then you get the Batman dressing up as the mayor for a minute.
And who was voiced by Mariah Carey.
Yes. What a fantastic movie Lego Batman is. And if I can say, similar to 66, criminally low, not being an S. I know I made it hard to get into S, but it's tough.
Yeah, but let's move on, guys. We don't dedicate another 20 minutes talking about the Lego Batman.
Lego Batman. Now we've got Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and Batman 89 up next. I have two questions for you, Ryan. First, do you think which one of these movies do you think is going to make it into S tier, if any? And what do you think we're going to see next?
I think Dark Knight is automatically in the S tier. It's never been a doubt in my mind, but I was hoping that we'd see a bit of a shakeup. Like, I was thinking Lego Batman would be in the S tier, but I think it might be Dark Knight, Batman 89, and Batman Begins either as a high A or a low S.
Gotta tell you, Ryan, we're actually talking about Batman 89 now.
Son of a bitch.
Coming in with a rank, I just lost it. Burn it down. With 7.9 out of 10 here, which I think I was expecting easy 8, but a lot of people, the most common, not the most like plural votes that it was mostly a 6. A lot of 10s and a lot of 9s bring it up to that 7.9, but most high rating that we got was 6. So it's very interesting looking at that and seeing how the math shakes out. This is obviously, as much as 66 was first, this was the movie that really catapulted Batman into superstardom, to the fact that we're even able to do this list. Damn, rigged. Ben, if you wanted 89 higher, you should have voted more. I don't know.
Everyone
but this is obviously the movie that really catapulted it, and it's in the top 3. So that's not even a bad place to be. We're not talking about it in C or D tier here. Ryan, well, tell me about Batman 89.
Well, Batman 89, like you said, it's the one that kicks off everything. It's the one film that shows that comic book films can be not just marketable, but they can be entertaining to audiences. Not like if they're done seriously, but if you give it a certain style, a certain aesthetic. Like if you really get passionate into the artistic style of comic books and you create a world that you can actually follow through. I mean, I'll be honest. This film on paper, the way that you see it, doesn't look like it's going to work. Yeah. But because of the seriousness that is given in the actors' performances, the style of direction that Tim Burton makes, the way he makes every scene with its own sense of color, like even if there's less of color, there is a certain color in a way to where it pops out on screen to you. The fact that Gotham City looks like a legit town that you might visit, not something like, oh, what if Batman was like what Marvel does, like it gives you real life locations. No, that's the one thing I like that DC does with some of these made up cities. You can still have a great realistic atmosphere, but you can change it up to where, I had no idea that this was here in Gotham City. So where you're like, why isn't it like this in my town or something, And
Gotham, I think Tim Burton really, I think, to where he goes a little bit too far in Batman Returns, I think he perfectly nails it with like the smoke coming out everywhere, where everything's just a little bit too dirty, but also like it's kind of timeless. where you look at computers that they have in there and you look at the cars they're driving, and it's like those don't exactly line up with 89, but I think that gives it this such a cool feel to it. And like Jack Nicholson, like he's doing his Jack Nicholson thing and it is working 100. I don't care that they give him like an definitive origin as to being the Joker. Like that doesn't matter to me, but I love him like putting on the fake makeup and then wiping it off, and you see the white bleached skin underneath to the first time he's revealed as the Joker, and it's just like coming in shadows, and he looks like a Nosferatu vampire, just like completely shrouded. He is menacing and terrifying, but also hilarious.
I agree. And despite the people want to think of this as a definitive origin for Joker, I personally think this is just an interpretation to where I could buy. I like the fact that jeez. Oh, that's like that's a jump scare I didn't want.
Oh my god.
Like, that's burned in my brain now. Thanks for the warning, Soda.
That's not cool, man. I didn't agree to jump scares on this show.
But I will push and continue and say that with Nicholson's Joker, it does tie into with Jack Napier. You meet him. Yeah, he's a mob gangster. He has visions of wanting to be the head honcho in town. But the fact is that he's a little arrogant. He's overstepping his bounds. Like Eckhart says it, you're a nut job. I mean, sure, you don't see it right there because he's very contained. But when you meet him, he's sleeping with the boss's wife. He's already trying to pay off a dirty cop who's already in somebody else's pocket, going like, thinking when I'm going to run things. And then later on, you see Grissom doesn't even want him in his gang. So like this moment when this girl's walking by, he takes a look down at Jack. Yeah, this motherfucker knows. And he's setting you up to fail.
I love how they incorporate the joy buzzer and like the acid flower,
feather pen. I mean,
the joy buzzer scared the shit out of me as a child.
Oh, yeah, like that legit. I was convinced that that's what all joy buzzers were.
The main reason why I didn't watch Batman 89 as much as for some reason Batman Returns when I was a kid is because Jack Nicholson's Joker scared the shit out of me. Legit. When I was young.
No, you're not wrong. I was hesitant to go to circuses because of Jack Nicholson's Joker. It's not until like shows like Rugrats and everything else of cartoons I realized, oh, clowns are not like that. even though cartoons give you clowns in a hideous way, I'm going, it's still not as scary as Jack Nicholson.
No, legitimately terrifying. And I also love the attention to detail that they do in this movie and the love and care where, he's poisoning the water, the makeup and the body wash and stuff.
Yeah.
So
chemicals. My God. Hygiene products. Yeah.
There we go. Hygiene products. Whenever we cut back to the news anchors, they're less and less well put together, and like the girl's hair gets all frizzy and the guy gets like terrible acne everywhere. So much there. Like they look like they got like not bad, like bags and a little bit of red eye on them because it's a mixture of fear, but then also like, hey, this is what we got to do. And I like the commercial of the Joker Pro. Yes.
Jesus Christ. It was freaky when I seen it as a kid, but looking back, I'm going, yeah, this is something he would do to spread mass panic.
I love the parade and I love Prince and like that whole parade where he's throwing the Joker bucks is so good. And that's only like one
a fast one on the people and they are still there. It shows exactly
doing
how
it.
I will say one thing that the four Batman films, 89 to Forever, to Batman and Robin, they had amazing soundtracks that of course we don't have with later scores now. I mean, no disrespect to Nolan trilogy, but it was obviously a movie that gave you an orchestral score, not something that would do something for the pop culture as like Prince with every song, Party Man, Trust. What's the song at the end? But everything that Prince did for that soundtrack, 100% commitment. Love it.
Now, I also got to say, my favorite scene in the entire movie is the art exhibit where they're going away painting different things, making it more beautiful. And it just, them just like touching everything, to even how it starts with like the delivery of the gas mask to Vicky. I think that all builds so perfectly to then having Batman come down through the skylight. And of course, Joker's guy, he's just got the boombox on his shoulder the entire time. And it's so good.
That's a moment, that's a dance, that's a moment that can be recreated no matter what.
For sure. I also love I love Keaton in this movie. I love, you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. He's got the fire poker and he's ready to go. I love how unhinged he seems. And now even with your Batman and Robin, ladies and gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Fantastic. I love seeing all that.
Let's not forget the best one. You ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
What an icon. Not often will a movie come along and really redefine and create something so iconic for a character. But like that saying for Joker is something that immediately, it's one of the first things I think about whenever I'm talking about Joker in any capacity, whether it's comics or otherwise.
I will say that flashback scene, the actor they got to play a young Jack Napier looks so, you can honestly say that he looks like a young Jack Nicholson.
He does. He really does. Now, like, that's fantastic. I love the escalation of everything to where we actually get the Batwing and stuff near the end of the movie. Why didn't anyone tell me he had one of those things? To where he's just
gone.
He's pulling out like
get those wonderful toys.
Where does he get those wonderful toys? Any final thoughts on Batman 89? Because we're running close to where we wanted to wrap up, and I want to make sure we got
so
enough time for
I will just say my final thoughts on Batman 89. It's a great film, criminally low on this list personally to me, because it captured everything that all the 4 Batman films did, the other 3 that they did later on. It had a style. It had a great set and tone. Sure, it was changed or watered down a little bit, but it doesn't change the fact that this film was great art and imagination and creativity. All 4 of those films. That's why I love the fact that this quadrilogy is something that stands the test in my mind. I don't care if people want to say, "Oh no, it's just 2 films in the narrative." No, this is a quadrilogy because it has a connective thread, recurring characters, and at the same time, as much as people hate the fact that actors about actors being recast as characters, you can do something like this with Batman, because even though Batman was a beloved character, everyone at that time was only cared about was just getting more Batman movies.
And you know what? My final thoughts about this. I love that Keaton's coming back. After rewatching this movie for doing this, I'm so excited to see him in Flash and then again in Batgirl. I think that's going to be fantastic, and I think this movie really steps it up to where I didn't quite click with him in Returns, but this one, he is dialed in 100%, and I love it. Now, Ryan, Dark Knight and Batman Begins. We got 2 more movies. Which one's coming up, and are they cracking into S tier?
I think if Batman 89 is just on the high A tier, I think Batman Begins to crack the S tier.
I gotta tell you this right now, my man. We're actually talking about the Dark Knight next, coming in at 8.7. So missing out on the S tier.
What the
Dark Knight, a fall from maybe the biggest shock ever.
What the fuck?
That not only as developed, we had I can get the number. We had 62 votes cast in this race, and it came out at 8.7.
Now,
for Dark Knight.
Remember, Ryan, this was your favorite Batman movie, not the best Batman movie. 2 different
Well,
things.
I'm not saying it's my. I mean, I understand it, but I figured because of how iconic it is, I figured it would be in the S tier. I mean, my favorite personally is I gave Lego Batman 10 stars. I did not give that to The Dark Knight, meaning it's not my favorite, but I still felt that the general consensus was The Dark Knight would be up there.
I can tell you, it was. This movie actually received 0 9s on the board. A lot of 10s and a lot of 8s and 7s, and then a couple 5s, but I'm not sure what those people were talking about. Yeah, the spread. That I think that's just gonna be the new. That's the unofficial motto for this show. Burn it down. Dark Knight, stem to stern, a fantastic film. From the initial bus chase or bus
the
chase,
bank heist scene.
Bank heist. Thank you. What bus heist? What am I even talking about?
Bus is involved though.
They got buses involved, where they're systematically taking out each other until it just gets, no, I killed the bus driver. And it's so good. Heath Ledger, like, I'm not saying anything new here. All 10s. He's firing on all cylinders in this film. And Bale is also giving it 1000% here. I don't think the Batman voice is too bad in this movie. I think he's doing so well. You actually get to see him doing a little bit of detective work with the gun fragment. And this movie, all the way down to the Two-Face stuff, is so fantastic. Aaron Eckhart, what a great casting for Two-Face.
I think Aaron Eckhart, it was clear he was mostly a Harvey Dent in this film. But I do like that you do split that there are sides of Harvey Dent. Like, he's not a true beacon of truth and justice. Like, he's not a 100% good guy. You do see earlier on when you meet him through Rachel, the fact that he uses a double-headed coin just so he can get his way to question a witness. And then, of course, you see the fact that his life is being threatened. He beats up a guy. Of course, he looks like a good man. But even then, you do see the fact that he comes from internal affairs, meaning there's a hint. He's had to be, in a way, a bit of a two-faced kind of person in order to root out corruption and the truth. And he is 100% like dedicated to more, look, this isn't about personal opinions or so. This is about rooting out corruption. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that when you get to all three of them on screen at the same time, on top of that rooftop,
yes,
you do see how Gordon and Dent are looking to really rip each other's throats out, but Batman's there as the calm voice of reason. And then you see Harvey Dent, he's so focused on just wanting to get these men prosecuted, he doesn't care about the consequences. That's why I love it when Gordon says, we're going after their life savings. Things are going to get ugly.
Yeah. What a fantastic conversation between that trifecta there on that rooftop is such. I could watch those three guys just talk for hours. And is there a faster way to show this guy is a badass than the trial scene where he gets an assassination attempt on his life, and then it's like, I recommend you buy American. Get this man out of here, Your Honor. I'm not finished. It's like, that is so easy, such a quick way to ingratiate him to us, and also show how damn effective he can be. So when he comes out as Two-Face later, you know just how scary and capable this man is. I know that I even don't mind that they go to Hong Kong in this movie. I like seeing Batman outside of Gotham in different locales, and that whole fulcrum extraction scene, so good.
Yeah, I like that too. I like it shows it that them going to Hong Kong is not just something for, we're in a different location. It represents what the Joker is saying. Batman, he's not the police. He has no jurisdictions. If you do something wrong in Gotham, he will hunt you down and find you. And I even like the fact that even Dent understands that too. He's like, oh, Val's gone. We got nothing. No, we got this guy. He's not on our payroll. He's not part of our system. And I do like how the later half of this film is all about the consequences of the action all three of them made. Yeah, and that is another great part about this movie, where it just keeps going. There's not a moment. It's relentless while you're still able to breathe.
where you never feel overwhelmed by the movie, but the movie also never stops going. And every time you think you've gotten ahead, it's like, no, you're not as smart as whatever the Joker's doing. He is, from the first interaction he has with the pencil down to him hanging upside down. You're like, this man is just so in it. And Heath Ledger, obviously, like, gone too soon, tragic. He a tour de force in this movie, just taking everyone's lunch money when it comes to acting.
He literally, this was charisma at its finest.
Oh,
and I would say the theater I was at watching this midnight showing, he shows, after he's done his whole thing with the bank, like, I believe the thing that doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger. But it's clearly when he comes across the mob bosses, they're all in this hideout where they think they're going to be fine. They can all meet together. He pops and finds them and just, ha, ha, ha. Ooh, ha. And I thought my jokes were bad. And then the magic trick. That
so good.
Got everyone.
So good. Man, it is time, though, to bring it on home. Batman Begins, our number one, cracking the S tier with 9.1. The only movie to hit S tier, Batman Begins. Liam Neeson as Ra's Ghul. Cillian Murphy killing it as Scarecrow. You really get, that's soda. You get all these great characters flowing in and out. Like, we're going to evaporate all the water so that the sewers explode. Is that kind of dumb? Yes.
A little bit, but hey.
But it's so good in terms of acting, in terms of story, plot. I don't even mind the non-linear storytelling that they do with all the flashbacks.
I don't mind that either, because I like how they're trying to get to the part where you see Bruce Wayne. He's in this prison, like he's fighting criminals, and then you meet him, and I like how it's delve into his psyche. Yes, you lost your parents. What happens next? I thought I can get over it, but my anger was there. What did you try to do? I tried to kill the man responsible. It didn't help. And I even like when Henry Ducard says to Bruce, the way I was able to get over losing my loved one was vengeance. And he says, that's no help to me. Like, you can truly see he wanted that. And I love that it was his friend Rachel, played by Katie Holmes, who I will say is underrated in this film, because it's mainly, I love that moment between the two of them to where Bruce goes. He lays it all on the line. He's just an angry kid who, because when you see him come back, he doesn't want to go back to college. Alfred's trying to set him straight. He's like, look, I don't care if you don't get, he does care about him, but I don't care if you're going to throw your life away, but we care about what you do with it. And then jump to that car scene with him and Rachel, to where he says, he's like, look, the city's terrible. Like, what you're doing is pathetic. And I love how Rachel, instead of yelling at him, she just takes him to where Carmine Falcone is and says, oh, you want to thank him? Go for it. And I love the fact she sees him as a good man. And when he shows her that gun, I love the look of disappointment and anger on her face. I think you're muted, Dave. I can't hear you.
Katie Holmes is really strong in this movie. Sorry. I was thoroughly impressed. Again, doing a rewatch of Batman Begins and getting to see her, I'm like, how good was she? And I hate, it sucks that like she wasn't able to finish out the trilogy, but that scene where she drives him and is like, look around, this is what's happening to Gotham right now. And this is what happens when people like you don't step in, and really being that lightning rod for Bruce shows so much strength and character that most of the other love interests we've mentioned have like one or two things that they do, and then other than that, they're just set dressing. She is instrumental in him becoming Batman.
And I will even say the following scene with him confronting Carmine, where he's trying to. I even love how Carmine just goes, "You're just an angry kid. You've never been like these people on the street. You've not tasted desperate. You've never starved. You've never done what you never gone to the point to where you're going to rob somebody. I love the fact where he's pretty much telling him, like, look, you think you have nothing to lose? No, you still have your friend. You still got that butler. There are a lot of stuff that can be taken from you. And it's like that 1-2 punch of Rachel realizing your choice to kill him was stupid. And then Carmine going, you're stupid for coming down here. It's like you said, it's pretty much, it spurs him to realize, I need to understand criminals. I need to know what it's like. And I love when he tells Henry, the first time I stole was so I didn't steal. And look what he does when he steals. He hands it to some. He doesn't even finish the fruit he stole. He hands it to somebody else. Yeah. And then even stealing, becoming a criminal himself, just so he can understand. Like he says, the stress of the heist, but the thrill of success.
Yes. I love that, and I also love the modernization of the Batman mythos in every way, both in how he would become Batman and learning these skills by being a shiftless layabout, taking jobs here, taking jobs there, but also to how they deal with the Lazarus Pit and Ra's al Ghul being a Dread Pirate Roberts type thing, a title passed down. I think that's so good because Liam Neeson he kills it as Ra's al Ghul.
He is incredible. And I like the fact that, like you said, with Ra's, everyone was going, yeah, this is someone who is an immortal. How are you going to serve? How are you going to explain his actions? And it's mainly Liam Neeson, but instead he uses false like figureheads to keep his legacy alive, to make it look like he never dies. That's why I love that moment at the birthday party when he just says, "You're not Ra's. I saw him die." Oh, but is Ra's a man? No, he's supernatural. No. Like all that swagger thrown at Bruce, and Bruce is just like the shock on his face, and then going, "Gee, parlor tricks, huh?"
Yeah, so good in this movie. Also, it would be criminal if we didn't talk about Michael Caine at least for a minute. Not only how good he is as Alfred, but similar to Bale, he is funny. Like when Batman is trapped under the beam on fire, and he's like, "What's the use in doing all those push-ups if you can't lift a sudden beam off yourself?" And it's like so fantastic. It's like
I even love when Bruce is back and he's on the plane with him, and he just goes, "Well, as your antics to fight the criminal underworld, you're gonna make sure no one gets hurt." He's like, "You talking about Michael?" "No, sir, I'm talking about myself."
I also in that same plane ride. Oh, I'll let you take the rolls out for a spin, just like he's been living Bruce's life.
Back for the full sake.
Yeah, like what a great relationship the two of those guys have, and he's even getting involved to where he's one of the few Alfreds that's actually going out into the field where the first time Batman runs across Scarecrow and he gets gassed, like he gets picked up by Uber Alfred.
And I love how Alfred doesn't hesitate to get Lucius involved. He's like, "Yeah, I mean, Bruce even told him, look, you've gone to Lucius about this stuff, but guess what? He's not going to be kept in the dark." And also to tag him with Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, also his roles. I mean, we didn't talk about him for Dark Knight, but him as Lucius Fox is fantastic.
So, what a great casting. He is not a guy, if you had asked me, who should you get as Lucius Fox? I would not have pulled Morgan Freeman, but I'm so glad they did.
Actually, the funniest thing about Lucius Fox, he was mainly just kind of under the radar as a character. You'd see him every now and then, but because of the fact that Morgan Freeman this character was brought into Batman Begins, he's played by Morgan Freeman. Lucius Fox is now elevated to a high status. Now, in almost every Batman interpretation, Lucius Fox is there at the beginning. Even to anybody out there, brace yourselves. As much as I don't like Gotham, the TV show, I do like the fact that they bring Lucius Fox in to be a part of the Batman origin. And also, even in the Telltale games, Lucius Fox is there. And he's referenced in the Batwoman show, which I've not gotten into. But Lucius Fox is so heavily tied into the Batman mythos now.
Yes.
And this movie, Batman Begins, shows to prove you that you can take some small supportive characters and you can heavily tie them into the main narrative of Batman.
And I love seeing every time Bruce goes to him with an excuse, you can tell, like, immediately he's like, "Oh, this fucker's Batman." It's like, Yes.
Like you're lying. It's
Hey, as far as I'm concerned, everything here belongs to you anyway. And the less you tell me, the less I have to lie.
just don't consider me an idiot.
Yeah. So good. And when it's like, oh, Mr. Wayne, no, you wouldn't be interested in that. That when he's talking about the Tumblr,
Oh
which
god, yeah.
So fantastic. And we're running long, so we're not going to get a chance to go through the extra bonus questions that we did talking about Batmobiles and whatnot. But the Tumblr for the movie that they were making here is very good. I like the Tumblr a lot in this movie.
It really is. Like it is. It changed to where Batman needs a vehicle that can be less of a stylized and something kind of like represented what Batman was at the time. A bit of kind of like a brute. He needs something to mow down through to get the job done. That's kind of what the Tumblr does. It gets the job done.
It gets the job done, just like we've done tonight when talking. Walking through all the Batman rankings. I'm going to pull it up one last time so we can take a final look at it. And just so coming in at the very tippy top, Batman Begins, the only S tier Batman film as voted by the community. Then going down the line, Dark Knight, Batman 89, Lego Batman, and Mask of the Phantasm rounding out the A tier. B tier, we got Dark Knight Rises, Batman Returns, Batman Forever. Then dropping down to the C, Batman v Superman, Batman 66, and Batman and Robin. Ryan, anything on this list that really, obviously the A to S tier rankings really got you off guard, starting with Phantasm all the way up to Dark Knight not falling into S. Anything here that you strongly disagree with before we do our sign-offs?
Well, I did say earlier I wanted to see films like Batman 66 a little higher. I kind of would put Batman 66 as a high B personally. I'd keep Batman Forever where it is. Dark Knight Rise, I'd probably say as a low B. I think the only ones I put in the C tier is Batman v Superman and Batman and Robin. But I would punch up Batman 66. But yeah, I would put Batman Begins in the A tier and put Dark Knight and Lego Batman and Batman 89 in the S tier.
Oh, right. Well, yeah. Remember, if you have a problem with these rankings, you voted for them. So it can't be. So it's your simply the messenger. Final question before we log off. Looking at this this ranking here again. Matt Reeves, the Batman, the whole reason we're doing this, coming out in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Where, based on this list, do you see that movie falling?
Well, for one thing I will say about this over 2 hour Batman film that we're going to get, and look, if you guys have an issue with that, look at the runtimes of all these other Batman movies and then come back to complain. But I will say this, the Batman, I won't say if it reaches the hype, but if it's a very good, competent film, something that's worth rewatching, I could maybe say this can be a good movie to put between the A and B tier. I don't know about S tier. Like, it has to really blow me away and make me want to come back and watch it to put as an S tier film.
If I had to guess, based on the rankings that we have there, I think it's going to come in right underneath Dark Knight and ahead of 89. But we will have to see. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me on this pilot episode of Northern Rankings. What do you got going on, my dude?
Currently, right now, I will say not much. For some people who have not, most recently, my cohort, my partner, my Sherpa my Sherpa and Ride or Die, Ben. Unfortunately, he has taken a bit of a step back from Schmodown related content. So for right now, Mount Schmodown is in my hands. But because it is me, I am going to unfortunately put this on ice for a while until I can find a way to, get this back up and running. But until then, you guys can find me here on Northern Entertainment Group as a special guest on any of the different shows here. You guys can also find me, if you're big wrestling fans, I have a podcast called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Stitcher, Anchor. Look it up. listen to an episode of myself and my two other co-hosts, James Shimo and Brenton McPherson, on our passions and our love of wrestling. If you love it, please leave a comment. Let us know if there's anything we can change or improve upon ourselves. We're always open to criticism.
Criticism, just like I'm sure I will receive, and I've already received texts from people saying that this list was bullshit. And you know what? Again, your rankings, everyone. Criticism's great, but you know what's even better? Subscribing to Northern Entertainment Group, following us on Twitter at Group in the North, to make sure you are staying up to date on everything we got going on. We got content like this. We got Schmodown stuff rolling out slowly once we figure out what that's going to look like for the new year. And we're excited. Ryan's going to be here. I'm going to be here. All your favorites are going to be here. But for all of us at Northern Entertainment Group, have a beautiful night. Be back.